Please be better than Rough Night. Please, oh please, I beg you, Girls Trip. Please be better than this atrocious piece of shit. Hey there everybody, this is 22 Tiger Dude here, and I'm here to review Girls Trip. So Girls Trip is directed by Malcolm D. Lee, and the film stars Regina Hall, Tiffany Haddish, Jada Pinkett Smith, Queen Latifah, and Mike Coulter. So Girls Trip is about these four women that are best friends. They're very close with each other, but it's been years since all four of them have seen each other. And they go on a weekend-long getaway trip to New Orleans so they can reconnect and party and just have a ton of fun, just like the good old times before life got in the way for them. So Girls Trip, yeah, I was not looking forward to this movie, to be honest. I was really enjoying this film, and the fact that we're getting not one but two movies dealing with a group of ladies going out and partying and reconnecting because they haven't seen each other for years. And it also didn't help that I saw Rough Night. That ended up being one of the worst movies I've seen this decade. I was hoping, honestly, at this point, Girls Trip could surprisingly be okay. I just wanted to be better than what I just had to sit through, and oh, thank God I can just say this. Girls Trip is better than Rough Night. In fact, it is far superior from that atrocity, because Girls Trip is actually more than just an okay movie. It's even more than just a good movie. Girls Trip is a great comedy film. This movie surprised me big time. This is hands down the most surprising movie of the summer movie season. What makes Girls Trip work, and it's the thing that was really missing big time in Rough Night, is the bond between these ladies. And I have to say, as much as I was not looking forward to this film, the opening scene actually already sold me. It actually started off on a very heartwarming note, because we're getting introduced to these ladies and we're seeing all the past times that they've been hanging out and spending time with each other before life got in the way, and they've been in separate directions ever since. I really did care for these four ladies, actually. I believed in their friendship, and they all had very great chemistry, and that's something that definitely surprised me right from the start of this film. I cared for these characters, and I honestly enjoyed the shenanigans that they really got themselves into, because some of the stuff that happens in this film, wow, I was not expecting to laugh as hard as I did. And even the jokes that did not work for me in the trailer, surprisingly, really worked here. The performances, honestly, from these four ladies are really great. Regina Hall is really good in this film. I really like Regina Hall. I think she's a pretty underrated actress. She does show why I think she's one of the most underrated actresses working in Hollywood, really. Jada Pinkett Smith is also a ton of fun here. It's really cool to see Jada Pinkett Smith just have a ton of fun in this film, and she definitely looked like she was here. Queen Latifah I also did really like in this film, and she definitely had her moments for sure in Girls Trip. All these ladies, to be fair, actually do have their moments. Queen Latifah is honestly really good here, but everyone's been talking about this, and I agree with them. The show stealer, hands down, is Tiffany Haddish. And this shocks me, because in the trailers, she annoyed the hell out of me. She's actually my least favorite aspect walking into this film. I was really worried about this character. However, this character is actually so funny. She is what makes this film hilarious. I don't know, honestly, if Girls Trip would be as funny if Tiffany Haddish wasn't in this film, because she really does make the comedy. And that's not to say the other three aren't funny. They definitely have their moments for sure, but Tiffany Haddish just really takes the comedy to the next level. Now, as I just stated, and it's pretty obvious, but I truly did find this film so hilarious, and that is because the writing in this film is really well written. Like, huge credit to the writers of Girls Trip, because they did such a great job of truly writing the script for this film. And the way the writers wrote these characters was honestly very well done. The interactions with these characters is really spot on for sure. And just how the script came together, I was overall very impressed by. There's just so many things that made me laugh so hard in this film. And even when a certain joke doesn't work, it really is not that bad. It's just like, okay, that didn't work, whatever. It's not really anything that bothered me. Malcolm D. Lee, who also happened to direct, well, unfortunately, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, Scary Movie 5. I know he's directed plenty of other movies. He did a good job with Barbershop: The Next Cut, which I never reviewed for this channel because I saw it very, very late. But I thought that was a good movie. It was very well done. It was funny, but it was also very good with its dramatic moments, surprisingly. And I thought how that film came together was very well done. Malcolm D. Lee did a very good job directing that film. And that same thing goes here with Girls Trip. He did a very good job directing this film. And to top it all off, the cinematography in Girls Trip is very well shot. I am actually very amazed at how well shot this movie is. Yes, this is a standard comedy, but as far as standard comedies go, it's really great looking. And another actor that I should comment did a very good job is actually Mike Coulter, who I know is very famous from the Netflix original series Luke Cage, and then of course he has Defenders. He's in this film, and not to really say too much about him, but I thought he did do a very good job. Now, like I said earlier when I was talking about the opening scene of this film, there is actually a really good message in Girls Trip. Now, normally when a comedy film does try to all of a sudden be dramatic or try to throw in a message, it doesn't always work. It can take you out of the moment, because when you go into a comedy film, all you want to do is just laugh. But when Girls Trip does want to get serious, at times it does work when they try to throw in a message. I'll get into a little bit later why I say at times. And the last thing I have to give Girls Trip major props for is actually the pacing. Now, this movie is a little over 2 hours. Now, that sounds very long for a comedy movie, and I agree with that. I think 2 hours is too long for a comedy film. An hour and a half is normally the perfect length. Besides certain pacing issues, I actually thought this film really flew by, honestly, with its pacing for the most part. I was actually pretty amazed, and I don't know if it's because of how well written the comedy is or just because of how well written this movie is in general, but it is a very well paced movie. Now, as far as flaws do go with Girls Trip, and there's not a lot really, but if I have to say my flaws, I'd say that some of the comedy didn't work. And like I said earlier, even when the film's comedy didn't work, it was very once in a while, first off, and it was just like a whatever thing. It wasn't anything hard to watch, it wasn't anything unbearable. It was just like, okay, whatever, that didn't work. Kate Walsh, I thought, was actually a bit forced, though. I will say, comedy-wise, when some of the comedy didn't work, it was mainly from Kate Walsh. She's not bad here, actually. Her performance is really good, but it's just when her character attempts at comedy. For me, personally, it just didn't work. I could see why others can definitely find her character funny, but for me, I thought she was just trying a little too hard. Also, even though I really admire the message, especially when we get to the third act, I will say the third act it wasn't as consistent with comedy compared to the first two acts, and it's fine. It's really just like the last 15 to 10 minutes of Girls Trip where I didn't think it was really as funny as the first two acts. Not because the humor was missing, but because there really wasn't as much comedy added into that third act. However, that is made up because of how much I admire the message in the third act. There really is personally one major issue I do have with Girls Trip. The other issues you heard me bring up are just really minor issues, but this is one major issue I do have with Girls Trip, and it is this affair subplot. This did not need to be in the movie at all, personally. It felt very shoehorned. It did take away from the comedy at times, and that's where I do say at times when the film is serious, it doesn't work, and that's particularly because of this whole affair that did not really need to be in this film. When it focuses on the message of friendship, the seriousness does work. When it focuses on the affair, however, the seriousness of that personally didn't work for me. Overall, Girls Trip is the most surprising film of the summer, maybe of the year too. I have to think about that. It is very funny. It's very well written. I actually believed in the friendship with these four ladies. Oh, and before I forget, there are 2 grapefruit scenes, which I'm not going to spoil, but those 2 scenes dealing with grapefruit are some of the most hilarious scenes I've seen in a long time. It's very well directed, it's very professionally lit for a comedy like this, and it's definitely one of the best movies I've seen this summer. It's definitely one of the most fun times I've had watching a movie this year in general. I loved Girls Trip, and I'm gonna give Girls Trip 3.5 out of 4 stars. Yeah, I'm actually really going that high for this film. So you guys, in the comments down below, let me know what you think about Girls Trip. This is 22 Tiger Dude here, and don't forget that I will always have Tiger Power.